The feature match area where players await. John Rosum on Team Lotus Box, you see right now 9th place in our Season 2 standings. Really a new name to the tour here in 2017.
He's been a really consistent and very talented player.
So underway, Todd winning the die roll. He'll be on the play.
Rosum posted a 5-0 league list with Search for Azcanta in his modern deck, and then before the tournament posted another 5-0 league list without Search for Azcanta.
Well, at least you know. So he knows that he doesn't want it, but shows that he can 5-0 with it anyway.
Right.
Todd's first play is going to be Scavenging Ooze on turn 2. When we've watched this Green-White Company deck, despite being a mostly creature-based deck, it doesn't really win with a attack beat-down strategy. We usually see him win when his opponents concede to Disruption.
Yeah, largely just a Ghost Quarter deck. Knight of the Reliquary to find it, Ramunet Excavator to keep playing it, Asusa to just kind of go off with these elements. Pretty big win for Rosum that the turn 2 play for Stevens was Scavenging Ooze and not Voice of Resurgence. This one's very easy to deal with, whereas Voice can be more problematic.
We see, looking at Todd's hand, he's got Path to Exile, Noble Hierarch, Courser of Krufix, Tireless Tracker. It's just a lot of these value-oriented green cards. He's going to make Noble Hierarch, attempt to exalt the Scavenging Ooze. John will Lightning Helix. Does have to fetch Shock for the Lightning Helix, so he'll stay at 20.
Stevens had some 3-mana options on this turn. Looks like Courser Krufix, Tireless Tracker, but goes for a more aggressive line, perhaps setting up for a Collected Company next turn, or just immediate landfall off of the Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, I was going to say if he has another fetch land in hand, I really like the play of using Hierarch and the 2 mana lands to make Tireless Tracker, then dropping a fetch land, just having a whole stack of clues.
Giving some respect to Logic Knot as well. If you just get your good 3-drop Logic Knot on turn 3, that's unfortunate.
Well, Todd's going to get free reign to make the play he wants. Jonathan taps out for Geist of St. Traft here on turn 3.
And in this matchup, you almost always need good follow-up to ever have a good attack with Geist. You're going to see Todd roll out some creatures here, and Rosum's going to need to respect them.
We know about Tireless Tracker. We know about Courser of Krufix. See Todd's choice.
Pretty into going for Courser here.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he had another fetch land in hand, I'd like Tracker. I think he actually has no more land. And so as a result, what he's going to do is he's going to play Collected Company.
That one could be both.
Yeah, that could just be the best. Wants to make sure he gets this one down before some counter spell shows up. See Logic Knot.
Spell Queller.
Though with 2 Path to Exile on hand, Todd may not be as concerned about Spell Queller.
Right.
Top 6.
There's a Courser, halfway there.
And just Courser. So it looks like he'll end up making Courser anyway.
Yeah, 4-mana Courser.
And there, how about that one? The 7th card down would have been very nice. A Knight of the Reliquary on top for Todd.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, so he only gets 1 creature off the company. He misses the land drop for the turn. It's not the big haymaker follow-up he would have liked.
Yep, and Rosum's going to want to have a Path to Exile here. Start punching in with this Geist.
Going to Shock off Steam Vents down to 17. He does have Cryptic Command in hand, so and pretty big tell for it. Just shocks and says go.
Yeah.
Todd, though, some value plays available. You see that Horizon Canopy on top of the deck.
Sometimes you'll see players stop the Courser player in their draw step when it lands on top, do something about the Courser. Of course, when your answer is Path to Exile, it's a lot less meaningful. And certainly if you're leaving a Cryptic Command, that's not going to be very important.
So bonus card off the top for Todd is the Horizon Canopy. See a fetch land waiting. Knight of the Reliquary is going to be added. Now, looking at Jonathan's list, when he has this aggressive Bender Jeskai control, does he have things, what are his sweepers, or does he have sweepers?
Sweepers don't really play with Spell Queller. Just got to keep pointing a bunch of burn spells out there. A couple Electrolyze, that's like a sweeper.
All right, you mean some matchups. I don't think it's one here.
Electrolyze Lightning Bolt cleans up this board. It'd be nice if he had that combination.
So Todd went for a Knight of the Reliquary, but Jonathan hit it with the represented Cryptic Command.
And to be fair, against a lot of the battlefields that Todd's able to present. Sweepers are all right. You know, Voice of Resurgence is really good against that kind of stuff. I suppose a lot of his creatures do get swept up, Night Reliquary, Courser, Crewfix, but his deck is configured where he usually has a really good follow-up. He doesn't have to commit a ton of 3-mana creatures.
And I really like the card advantage pressure Todd's making here. You see, he plays a second Courser. He drew the Wooded Foothills off the top, but he has Ramanap Excavator waiting for next turn. So if Jonathan lets Todd draw Excavator and resolve it, Todd's just going to continue to score free cards off this fetch land.
Free cards off the fetch land, or if you wanted, he could Horizon Canopy every turn.
That's really nice. End step, Jonathan's going to use that Electrolyze to shoot down Noble Hierarch.
And here with the 2 Coursers, you're really seeing the weakness of Geist of St. Trapped in matchups like this.
Yeah, this looks terrible. I mean, this is so far from attacking, and even worse, Jonathan has another Geist in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're seeing this card in the deck for exactly 1 game. I like that Electrolyze drawing into Electrolyze for Jonathan. That always feels free.
I like it a lot better than Matter Reshaper into Matter Reshaper.
Oh, it's like the same thing, right?
One of them's 2 good cards, and one of them's 2 Matter Reshapers.
Transmute Teleria West for Teleria West. It's a nice one.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's because it's a nonsense play. Todd's going to draw the Ramanap Excavator. And he'll go ahead and try for it. Too good to pass up on if it works.
6 mana for Rosum. A lot of potential plays in response to that one.
Sure, yeah, that's enough for the Snapcaster Cryptic. What I do like is that Todd is just presenting so many 3-mana creatures, and all of them are feeling like they have to be countered. And Jonathan's deck, it's really in the market for countering 1 or 2 spells. It's not so good at countering every spell.
When you start seeing Stevens cast 2 meaningful creatures a turn, that's when Rossum's going to get into trouble. In this stage of the game, both players' life totals are relatively high. Todd's getting a little bit of value, but Rossum's also redrawing off a lot of his cards. Cryptic Command redraws, the Electrolyze drew a card. When we get to the phase where Todd starts casting Excavator and Voice Resurgence, then Rosum could be in trouble.
Ryan, this is an interesting play from Jonathan. He used Snapcaster Cryptic to counter the Ramanap Excavator, but it wasn't counter draw. It was counter tap Todd's creatures.
Well, that's kind of like a card, because it means he gets to attack with his Geist.
Yeah, he's going to swing in 8 damage. So Todd will drop to 11.
Hey, once he has the Snapcaster Mage, then he has multiple creatures coming in.
He's going to spend a Path to Exile on the Snapcaster Mage, so Todd will go to 12. Now, the interesting part, though, is that these Coursers, remember, they will actually gain Todd life points back.
Here is a fetch land in play. That represents +1 life. Every other land +2 life.
Eternal Witness on top. I think just with so many of these value 3s, Jonathan's seeing that he's going to lose control of the board soon here.
And once you start running low or out of counters, you know, Eternal Witness is just so good against these blue decks.
Yeah. Birds of Paradise on top. Todd misses on the extra land. So he'll crack a fetch land, try to get another chance at that free land. Goes up to 13, pays 1 for the fetch land, but gains 2 off the Coursers. The top card's a land. He still has not made a land drop yet this turn.
Yeah, you'd hate to see that Birds of Paradise show up again.
I think it was a fetch land here actually gains Todd 3.
Yep. 2 on the way down, -1, +2.
See if he can find one. Top card is a Voice of Resurgence.
That one's fine. I mean, it's a good card in this matchup, and it doesn't scale terribly. It's just kind of good throughout the entire game.
Todd, though, he'll draw Voice using Horizon Canopy. Top card's another Voice. Still no land, but that 2-drop plays here. And he'll cast. So, Voice of Resurgence, and that finally is a target for this Spell Snare that Jonathan's been holding on to. And Todd's just going to say go. Leaves back a pair of 2/4 blockers for that Geist of St. Traft.
With this Geist with the Angel token, that threatens 4 damage, and then if he loses this in combat, he gets to play his second Geist. Steven's at 13, even with the ability to gain some life a turn. He does need to hit off of these Coursers and make more land drops, and Rossum's deck is flush with burn spells.
You see Electrolyze from Jonathan. I believe this is end step to shoot Todd. Then he will Path a Courser. Todd went down to 11. He'll go up to 12 here on the path to exile.
I think Rosum has another Snapcaster Mage, so he can get rid of this other Courser.
Yeah, he's really just trying to clear the way for guys to St. Traft.
Yeah. Makes it so he can punch through for the full 6, but also means it so Todd is no longer gaining life off of his land drops.
Yeah, picks up Lightning Bolt as well. So Jonathan's hand looks like a Snapcaster Mage, a Lightning Bolt, and another Geist to St. Traft. But the first two may just be enough by themselves.
Mm-hmm. That second Geist could come into play. Theoretically, if Stevens has something like Path to Exile for the Angel token and is able to get the Geist in combat next turn.
Yeah, you're mentioning the second Geist means that Jonathan can throw away the first one in combat without losing meaningful damage.
Mm-hmm.
Swing here from Rosum makes the Angel token. He did not path away the Courser before making this play.
Yeah, it is kind of nice. He knows that the draw step is Ghost Quarter for Stevens, and that's fine. Yeah, with the backup Geist, whatever, you can throw this one away.
If there's a block with Courser, do you think we're going to see Jonathan use the Lightning Bolt to finish off the 2-4?
I think it's very unlikely. You probably just see Geist pass, leaving up Snapcaster.
Todd down to 8 on the attack. Jonathan will go ahead and kill the 2-4. Then replaces the Geist.
Yeah, the Ghost Quarter, or the Courser does represent more life.
It's close, yeah.
Pretty likely that Todd presents another blocker here, but Snapcaster Mage will cover that.
And Todd shuffles the Tireless Tracker to the front of his hand. We know he has a Ghost Quarter in hand, so he will get a clue off the Tireless Tracker. Here's the 3-2. He's left up double green for that Eternal Witness as well.
Unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to use Witness to get Courser and gain a life with the Courser on this turn. He'd have to make his land drop first.
Sure. Clue token into play off Ghost Quarter. Todd wants to get really fancy. He can use that Ghost Quarter on his own lands to get additional clues. Snapcaster Lightning Helix on the tracker.
And Stevens kind of in Path to Exile or Bust territory, and he needs to have that just to survive this turn cycle.
Yeah.
But on top of that, he needs to have a good follow-up.
Yeah, it's 8 damage on the table, so Stevens at 8. He's going to lose the Tireless Tracker here. I guess he has the Eternal Witness as a blocker, and Jonathan Rosum's out of cards. Todd, it looks like he's going to go ahead and Ghost Quarter something while the Tireless Tracker is still in play. Just to get that extra clue. That can make sense. He'd be Ghost Quartering himself. So yeah, with Helix on the stack, Todd's going to make a play.
Yeah, well, he's got to do something. He's facing down a lethal attackers here.
Ghost Quarter away his own planes.
I get him. There's a wash on untapped mana for this turn.
Actually, just says, okay, no. Thought about it, decides not to.
Yeah, because you can't get the tracker up to 4 toughness. You could get another clue, but he couldn't crack them both.
Now, Todd had an Eternal Witness, but he actually didn't make it this turn. So here's a swing for 8. Looks like he has another plan. Cracks a clue.
Try to draw Path to Exile.
Looks like he has one in his hand. And he'll pathway the Angel token. Is there a reason he'd make this play over just making Eternal Witness?
The path ensures he can survive. Like a removal spell breaks open the Eternal Witness block.
Okay. Todd drops to 4. Jonathan, though, big threat here in Celestial Colonnade.
Mm-hmm. That'll make it so there's 2 4-power flyers next turn.
Yeah.
Stevens is at 4. I don't think his deck is capable of doing enough from this position.
Well, let's hold on for a sec. He can Eternal Witness back the Path to Exile. Witness can block Geist. Ghost Quarter can kill Colonnade. Path can take care of Angel. Todd goes to 2. It's not great, but he's alive.
Okay.
He's going to try to get more, though. Here's Collected Company.
This is really risky.
Yeah, it gets a couple Knights of the Reliquary, but now the 4/4 Angel token looks like it will kill him, and Todd will go to game number 2. An interesting line there. He doesn't have any other Eternal Witnesses, but he does have Aven Mind Sensor in the main, so there are flying blockers he could have hit there. And I guess if the problem with the other line is it's really just stems the bleeding only a bit.
Yeah.
If a good company might actually make him win, whereas witnessing back the path just makes him not lose.
Yeah, that play, he survives, but he ends up at 2, and Rosum has a ton of live draws to just kill you from there.
Yeah, Rosum's a Jeskai deck. So game 1 goes over to Jonathan Rosum's Jeskai Control. That game for me looked pretty close, actually. Todd, a stack of 3 drops, but all of them felt very relevant. I'll go ahead and go over here and look at the sideboards then for each player. Starting on Jonathan Rosum's side, he has 2 Dispel, 2 Relic of Progenitus, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Pia and Kiran Nalar, an Engineered Explosives, a Celestial Purge, a Negate, a Wear and Tear, a Vendilion Click, an Izzet Staticaster, and a Supreme Verdict. This is only somewhat effective against green-white.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's fine here. You know, Dispel covers Collected Company. That's the best spell in Steven's deck, but it's going to be bad in a lot of other spots. You probably want at most one of those, but the first one can be quite good. Reasonable spot for Pia and Kiran Nalar, both because it makes flyers and because you can hit a number of Todd's creatures when you throw the artifacts. Engineered Explosives and Supreme Verdict are both fine, but slow, and also Todd can add things like Voice Resurgence or just Collected Company after the fact to really punish you for going for a sweeper type effect. I do like Vendilion Click just because it's a flyer. That can matter a lot in this matchup.
Yeah, we did see Jonathan have to convert into being the aggro deck. Interestingly, despite the fact that he has a Jeskai Control, you got the feeling that if the game went to turn 12, that Todd would actually be the one ahead.
And Todd just has a lot of cards that make up card advantage.
Yeah, looking at his sideboard, he has 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Eidolon of Rhetoric, 2 Stony Silence, and then a bunch of one-ofs. Linvala, Reclamation Sage, Kataki, Eldritch Evolution, Gideon's Intervention, Elspeth, Sun's Champion, and Sigarda, Host of Herons.
There's a lot of stuff that's okay here. I don't know how Todd feels about Eidolon against just decks that play Snapcaster Mage. It's not great.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but you might see it. Sigarda, Host of Herons is fine. It's a giant flyer. If you're able to stick it, it's quite good.
Yeah, I think Supreme Verdict is the only answer in Jonathan's deck to it.
Elspeth's Sun's Champion costs a lot of mana, but if you're expecting your opponent to kill all your creatures, Planeswalkers are generally just quite good. That's kind of what we're looking at here. You could play Surgical against Snapcaster Mage. Some players go for this. I'm against it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I see it a lot.
I do see that one a lot. I generally want to see something higher impact to Surgical. I want to see a deck focused around one card or something that can really, or to be a very graveyard-centric strategy.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir.
You don't want to just Surgical their lightning bolts. Then they can't. Then your birds are safe.
I've had some weird ones Surgicaled.
All right, fair enough. Players going to get ready for a second game. At Star City Games, we're going to take a second to tell you about SCG Game Night. This happens all around the country. These are exclusive pins and tokens given away as prizes just for playing in your weekly events at your local store. So October, now in full swing, means that you can win the Vampire Night Fox pins and tokens here by playing in a local event. Next month, we'll be giving away the Tarmogoat. We actually had our first Tarmogoat sighting last round. I believe Relic of Progenitus making that Lurgoyf into nothing more than a 0-1 goat. We'll be giving that away. And for stores that register now, we can get you signed up in time for December's promotion, which is the Akroken Crusader. This Theros soldier, who's also a toad. You can get that guy coming up in December. So you can find a game night near you or get your store signed up for game night at starcitygames.com/game night.
We haven't seen that one on camera yet this weekend.
The Akroken Crusader?
I think that's on your bingo card.
Yeah, probably.
Player triggers heroic.
No, it'd probably be that would be too general. It would probably be player makes 1/1 red
player
token.
makes 3 1/1 haste tokens with a Akroken Crusader.
Yeah. If you weren't playing along yesterday, we have our Star City Games bingo for the commentators. If you want to play it on hard mode, you can download the Team Matthias bingo card. See lots of really cool things that could, in theory, happen in a modern tournament, but don't. Game number 2 underway. Todd Stevens starts off on tapped Temple Garden. Like Laboratory Maniac winning the game.
So I lose the game. That's as close as you can come.
It's the alternate win con of Ad Nauseum.
Once again, Stevens opening on Scavenging Ooze. Rosum just doesn't care too much about this card. He'll want to kill it at some point. He could even counter it here.
Yeah, he'll Spell Snare. Todd's deck, as we saw last in game 1, actually doesn't have too many cards to Spell Snare. He has a lot of 1s and a lot of 3s. Jonathan, that Spell Snare he had game 1, it took until about turn 7 before he could catch a Voice of Resurgence with it.
Yep. It makes sense for Rosum to leave it in because a problematic card and really the prize is Voice of Resurgence. But if Stevens doesn't have it on turn 2, then you just kind of want to fire that Spell Snare off.
And we go to the 3rd turn. Todd getting up to 3 mana. His deck really has a lot of power 3s. And you asked whether or not he'd put in Eidolon of Rhetoric against a Snapcaster Mage deck, and the answer is yes, it's his turn 3 play.
See, it covers the flashback and blocks the Snapcaster. It's like a 2-for-1.
Noble Hierarch the draw from Todd. Can't play any more spells. So he'll attack, or attempt to attack for 2. And Jonathan, actually a lot of respect for the Eidolon. It will get the Path to Exile out of his hand.
If he's already drawn a Snapcaster, you're kind of priced into that play. You don't want a Path to Exile Noble Hierarch. That's not going to be the line.
Todd then makes his land drop for the turn in Ghost Quarter. Jonathan is content to trade lands back and forth here.
And this Ghost Quarter, they're really good against decks like Death Shadow that play 2 basics. Rosum, he has 3 islands, a mountain, and a plains. It does hit Celestial Colonnade. That's the primary function in a matchup like this.
Yeah. Though against Jeskai Control, Colonnade doesn't really matter as a card until a lot more turns down the road. You know, it's not the kind of thing where Todd can just fire it off now.
Right.
I think Jonathan would largely not care. Todd develops up to 6 lands with Gavony Township. It gives him something to do on end step. With 3 cards left in his hand, it looks like Todd has lands 7 and 8, and then a 1 copy of Collected Company.
Yeah, Rosum leaving up Cryptic Command here, and he just drew PN Kieran Nalar. If he's going to wait to cast that one, it's going to be a while before he has a window where he can cast that and Cryptic Command on the same turn. A lot of tension in that hand.
So he's going to take shields down to cast Pia and Kieran. I assume this means Todd will convert the Collected Company.
Yeah.
Hopes not to get tagged by Dispel. 202 Thapsis to play for Jonathan. Todd tries for Collected Company, and yes, it resolves. Top 6, we see Azusa, Birds of Paradise. Any other options? Yes, Knight of the Reliquary for Todd.
And I think Rosum had Lightning Bolt in hand, but had to tap off of it. But he has Path to Exile as well, so getting the Knight off the table is a pretty good one.
Yeah, it takes care of Knight of the Reliquary there. So this Azusa, it's a 1 of value Azusa in Todd's deck. It's pretty fair until you see it with something like Ramanep Excavator.
Yeah, and he has Ghost Quarter here. If he's able to produce Excavator, he can go to work on Rosum's mana base. It'll take a couple turns of that, but once you get the other 4 basics out of Rosum's deck, then you're just doing 3 Strip Mines a turn.
Yeah, you said there's 5 total, and now we see 1 of them in play. Draw, not Excavator for Todd. He does have Courser of Krufix, though. And Courser plus Azusa, that's another interesting one. It can really get all the lands off the top of his deck, but it can't get a Noble Hierarch off the top, and that's the draw for Todd. So he'll play his first land drop. It's a Wooded Foothills. He'll shuffle. He's going to try to get something better on top of the deck.
Small win for Todd here, though. Because he's been hit by these multiple Path to Exiles, he has the mana left over to activate Gavony Township here.
Yeah, he does have 3 creatures on the board. The Township's very real.
It's going to make it a bit harder for Rosum to leverage this PN Kieran Nalar. Also, Stevens significantly ahead on the life race, 21 to 16.
Courser of Krufix, the top card. Todd will play out the rest of his hand. It's another land. And we're going to see if Todd wants to attack. He has an Exalted trigger, and he has that Township activation.
Yeah, he's not going to block. He won't be given the option to block with Azusa. So the question is, what are you trading in terms of material? He makes it up to a 3/4, so he can eat most of the PN Kieran Nalar, which I think is still a win for him. He could wait a turn where he's not even losing the Azusa.
Right, yeah, I think that's the calculation here, as to whether or not he wants to try to just have every creature survive, or whether he just wants to make a value attack right now. And it looks like he says no attacks. He's going to go ahead and hold out. Go back over to Rosum. He's got Lightning Bolt, Cryptic Command, Logic Knot, and a land in hand.
We're still in a spot where he could Lightning Bolt Azusa if you determine that to be a problem. With backup Courser coming off the top, not a lot of incentive to kill the Courser there.
Looks like Bolt will take care of Azusa. It's his last opportunity to do so. Cryptic Command at the ready. Jonathan will play land 6. Looks like some amount of Thopters will swing, though, and Jonathan's spot, he still has to be worried about that township. He doesn't have an answer to it just yet.
Inevitably, he does have that Cryptic Command. He can find himself in a position where he's able to chain Cryptic Commands and swing a damage race, though he's got a lot of work to do in the damage department. The Thopter attack puts Stevens to his starting point of 20.
Right. Yeah, and with a Courser of Krufix in play and perhaps even another one, Todd's going to try for the Courser. See if that's enough to get Jonathan's Cryptic Command. If he's trying to do any sort of damage racing, I think he has to counter here. Just 2 Coursers is so many life points. They work really well with Township.
Also cast the Cryptic Command, start drawing some cards, get access to something like Snapcaster Mage or just more clean answers to the battlefield here. This Cryptic Command doesn't solve any problems as far as permanence.
Now, interestingly, Ryan, he went counter bounce. So Todd has to pick up the Course of Krufix, recast, play a land, and then attack. But means no Gavany Township activation for Todd, and the Courser lost the counter it had on it.
Okay. That swings the tempo some. You might see Rosum throw both Thopters at this Courser now.
Okay, so he's going to use it as a kill spell. I was going to ask, I think the reasons for this could either be he's going to use the Thopters as removal, or the other line is that he's going to try to activate Colonnade and just straight race from here.
Yeah, both of these things are possible. We'll see exactly what Rosum does.
Yeah. Serum Vision's Logic Knot are the cards in his hand. So he'll cast the Serum Visions.
So that kind of means neither of those 2 things.
Yeah, and I don't play with either of those game plans that well. I mean, it's interesting, right? Voice of Resurgence is on top of the deck. So if he wants to try to play a control game plan, that's a huge problem showing up.
Yeah, once the voice sticks, the Logic Knot in Rosum's hand just becomes a blank card, so it does make some sense to try to leverage that one when he has the opportunity to.
Todd up to 20, land off the top from Courser. Voice of Resurgence, and we have to count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks like 9 lands. He'd have to Logic Knot this for 10. I don't think he can. So
or Cryptic Command it.
Yeah, or Cryptic Command it. That's simpler. Actually, make that 11. Noble Hierarch could make mana. Yeah, Jonathan has 8 cards in his graveyard, but I guess he could Logic Knot it if he tapped all his mana and delved all his cards.
Not exactly where he would want to be.
We'll see what the modes are on this Cryptic Command here for John Rosum. Counterspell, that one's for sure. He counter-bounced last time.
Looks like he tapped Stevens' creatures.
Go ahead, he went counter tap. All right.
That allows him to punch through with the PN Kieran Nalar itself, which is fine. I don't know if that's worth more than a card. I mean, he's saying that I would rather have Shock than a card off the top of my deck. I guess he gained some life as well.
Yeah, and then Todd used Ghost Quarter to take care of Colonnade. And Jonathan choosing not to get a land off the Quarter. He did know a top card off Serum Visions.
Sure. Maybe another Cryptic Command or something.
Yeah, I mean, chaining Cryptics is pretty great. Here's Courser of Krufix and a huge Logic Knot. Jonathan's going to tap 3 mana, delve 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, he's got to make sure this gets countered. Five, 6 more, so it's a total of X equals 9.
Yeah, when you say huge Logic Knot, you mean in terms of variable amount. As
Yeah,
far as relevance to the game being played, much lower.
Yeah, Todd still activates Township and swings in, getting some significant damage. Jonathan down to 6. He'll swing back with PN Kieran for 4. He's got a Colonnade ready here.
Yeah, presumably leaving up Cryptic Command. That's what I figured.
Yeah, I mean, you can chaining Cryptics always does just fine.
The Rosum at 6, you can't really get hit again.
And he's going to go to attack, so we see tap draw. Yes, Todd thought about activating Township in response. No real need. He'll make Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, plenty of mana.
Yeah. It's not... Jonathan does that... What, he needs the 4th Cryptic, though? He's still a ways away from chaining Cryptics to win this. Todd is at 12. Next card down is a Path to Exile. Jonathan's just about out of Cryptic commands.
Yeah, that Path to Exile actually stunts Rosum's ability to close the game significantly.
Yeah.
It just cleanly answers the Colonnade.
Looks like 2 lands in hand for John Rosum, as now he just says go. And this Scavany Township, with all those extra lands from Todd, they have really has added up. See, Todd swings in here. It's going to be his 5th Township activation. Path to Exile was the draw for Todd. I think it's really interesting in this matchup where the green-white creature deck actually has the inevitability against Jeskai control.
I think that's something that's pretty amusing the way this game planned out. Geist of St. Traff figures to be more likely to close this game than PN Kieran would.
Yeah, Geist actually would have been nice here. I mean, and I wonder whether he can play that way. You see right now some blocks and throws both Thopters. A lot of that is because Jonathan just drew 3 Cryptic commands. Yep. I mean, when you're chaining Cryptics, Geist is just incredible.
Right.
But you're right, Geist would have been great. It would have likely done enough damage. Draw for Rosum. He's got Todd to 8. Can he get Todd to 0? No, he cannot. We are headed to game number 3. In that situation, we saw really just the power of Courser of Krufix plus Scavany Township.
Yeah. Steven's also largely leveraging the mana advantage off of getting hit by 2 Path to Exiles that got him online with the Township in addition to casting spells way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, he had those 2 extra lands, and then he used Azusa to play 3 lands on a turn. Oftentimes that would be a bad situation, though with Scavany Township, it turned out to be a real asset for Todd. He was able to continue to cast spells while activating Scavany Township.
Yeah. Very powerful land is Scavany Township.
So Todd Stevens, if you missed it, we had him on camera yesterday. You can, of course, find all previous coverage here on the SCG Tour on our YouTube page. We have full recaps of the weekend's action, as well as a lot of other things from our website. We have our Split Second, our Versus and Commander Versus series, and Magic Online playtesting from some of the best players here in Roanoke. You can find all that on our YouTube page, and it's free to subscribe at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Now for Todd Stevens on Green White Company, really made a breakout about a year ago on the SCG Tour, originally from Denton, Texas. Made it his goal, I think actually about 2 years ago, was to make it to the Players' Championship. That goal was achieved. He made it to the Players' Championship last December in 2016. Really broke on the scene as a modern deck designer. By that, meaning designing decks in Modern. Had a hand in Bant Company, Eldrazi-tron, and Green White Company. Game 3, Jonathan will be on the play as the players quickly shuffle up for this. About 16 minutes remaining in the round. First time we're going to see Voice of Resurgence. See if it can dodge Spell Snare, and it can.
Yikes.
Ghost Quarter for Todd.
Todd actually wanted to play the land before the Voice in case of Logic Knot. Didn't get punished for it, but that would have been really unfortunate.
Oh, because of the fetch land, he could actually Logic Knot for 1?
Right.
Engineered Explosives in Jonathan's hand, that can, well, do some work on cleaning up Voice. There's really no way for Jonathan to get out of this without giving Todd a bonus card.
Right.
He will main phase Path to Exile it. That's one of the cleaner answers, though it gives Todd an extra land to use on turn 3.
Yep. Todd's deck flushed with 3 mana creatures.
Yeah.
4 copies of Collected Company. This extra mana helps him a lot. As you can see, he's signing up to play Noble Hierarch. He's very into mana advantage.
Yeah, from a deck design standpoint, I really like this in Todd's deck. When you look at a card like Collected Company that can find 2 creatures, a lot of times I'll like value my collected companies and how much mana worth of stuff did I get. When my collected company hits 2 Noble Hierarchs, I feel like I paid 4 mana for 2 mana worth of cards, but there's so many good 3s in Todd's deck that he oftentimes companies into 6 mana worth of things, and that's just an incredible card. See here, Courser of Krufix, another Noble Hierarch, and then that Gavany Township for Todd. He's ramping. This is how he won game 2. Just fast mana advantage, and then Courser of Krufix plus Township. And once again, it's going to face off against the Pian Kiran on Jonathan's side.
Pian Kiran is a really nice card, but it's very behind the buck when it comes to Gavany Township.
And how about Elspeth Sun's Champion from Todd, making that one on turn 4.
That's a combo.
You see Jonathan throwing his hands up there. Todd is able to ramp into this on turn 4 with a little help from Jonathan. This card is generally not going to resolve in this matchup, but when it does, it is so good.
When it does, it's generally not going to be beat.
Yeah. John's deck is not set up to beat this kind of card. Makes 3 1/1s on the first hit.
This card started showing up as one-ofs in blue-white do-nothing in the main deck or in the sideboard of some modern decks. Got a lot of scoffs initially, but then you see it on the battlefield. Yeah, 6 is a big ask, but when Elspeth resolves, the game is over.
Yeah, there's not a way for Jonathan to clean this up. If he had 6 lands, he could attack and throw both Thopters, but he's only going to have 5, which means Todd will get another activation of Elspeth. I suppose over a few turns, Jonathan can use the Engineer Explosives and the Thopters to eventually answer this Elspeth. But look at the problem here. You have Elspeth taking 3 tokens a turn, and there's a Gavany Township in play. This is just so much damage.
This spirals out of control very quickly.
Jonathan used Thopters then to attack Elspeth down to 3. But only has 5 mana at most this turn. Can't finish off the Planeswalker.
Yeah. And even if he just had a Lightning Bolt, he might already be too far behind when it comes to the Gavany Township.
Yeah, we already mentioned Noble Hierarchs plus Courser plus Township was good enough to win last game. You see he'll make Engineer Explosives on 1, crack it to kill the Noble Hierarch, use Path to Exile to remove Courser of Krufix, says go.
And with that path, Todd just already has enough mana to activate Township. Elspeth's still around.
Yeah, the play on board is just Elspeth pluses to 4, makes 3 tokens, Township all of them. I mean, if Jonathan has another Engineered Explosives, he's fine. But outside of that, that's, that's 12 power.
He'd probably have to play 2 copies if he wanted to draw a second.
Ooh. Yeah, that would be step 1, I suppose.
He does have Supreme Verdict in his sideboard. We haven't seen it yet, but maybe it's in.
I would guess it's in. He's against a green creature deck.
If you have Explosives, you probably have Supreme Verdict.
See if Todd has a better play than just the straightforward one, and he does. Collected Company.
He really likes casting this card. I think that's what it is. I'd be pretty into just plussing Elspeth and activating Township.
Company just finds Knight of the Reliquary. Todd will make Birds of Paradise to join the Knight. 1/1s can't really attack yet, so Todd will just make 3 more.
They can. It's losing 1 is fine.
Actually on Todd's side, I do like the Company play. If Jonathan has an Explosives or a Sweeper for the tokens, he still really has to use it right here. And if he can't use it here, then the next turn's Township will win.
The thing about the Company, though, is then you're committing the Company to that Sweeper.
Yeah, that's true. You do lose that.
That was an argument for why it's worse.
I guess the big punishment would be if Jonathan had boarded in an Is It Staticaster here. This is just a really big misstep for Todd.
Yeah, and then you just have the 2/2 tokens ready to go.
Right, and once they're all 2/2s, then you're out of Staticaster range. And because Todd has so many mana creatures and Noble Hierarchs and Birds of Paradise, it's not unreasonable to think that Jonathan has boarded in Staticaster.
Right. Yeah, pretty popular card that shows up in Modern. Steven's deck not full of a bunch of good targets for it.
Colonnade is going to try to hit Elspeth, but instead it hits Birds of Paradise. Jonathan's hand, Noble Hierarch, Voice of Resurgence, Voice of Resurgence. Elspeth goes to 5. Tokens go up to 8. Last turn, Todd actually did attack 3 tokens into Jonathan. Pia and Kiran blocked 1, but Jonathan took 2.
Yeah, losing 1 of these tokens, not very significant.
Swings with 5. Townships at the ready. No good blocks for Rosum. Pian Kieran will block 1 token. If even. He's probably just done in 2 attacks no matter how he blocks, so maybe he just doesn't block at all.
Yeah, he survives this at 2 if he just takes the full 10.
And he survives it at 4 if he blocks, so he decides to take 10.
Getting 1 token off the battlefield, not very significant.
You're right, it's if you're already on sweeper or bust, might as well.
Hour of Revelation would be really nice for Rosum. Again, he'd have to be playing that card.
It's Todd, more dice, more dice, more dice. No need for more dice. He extends the hand. It is going to be Todd Stevens, Green-White Company, taking both sideboarded games, and he is your winner here in round number 11.